Democrat Senator Elizabeth Warren has been under immense scrutiny after appearing to rationalize the alleged murder of former United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson last week. Now, I played the clip earlier in the show. Mick, what did you make of what she said?
Look, as you know as well as anybody, when you talk for a living, which you do, which I do to a certain extent, Elizabeth Warren does, you're going to make mistakes from time to time. But if you go back and you watch what Elizabeth Warren says, you can't help but get the sense, knowing what you know about her past, about her political outlook, about her philosophy of life and capitalism and healthcare, that she was being honest in her first comments and that she simply was facing a backlash that she was unwilling to tolerate. So, look, you could give her the benefit of the doubt, say she misspoke. I get that. She tried to clean it up. But I do think there's a sense here, an undercurrent in Washington, D.C., and more broadly that Elizabeth Warren was being honest when she said she was probably okay with this. It's disappointing. It's frustrating. It says a lot about where the nation is these days. But I don't think anybody who knows Elizabeth Warren was really surprised by the comments she made originally.
You know, I talked about this a lot at the top of the show, but it's been such an interesting reaction to this case. And obviously we've got this suspect who's in custody now, but to see so many people, especially on the left, come out and seem to sympathize with this alleged killer, what have you made of all of that?
It's unhealthy. It really, really is. I'm all for having a spirited debate about the way we buy and sell healthcare in this country. It's the most perverse and bizarre market that we have. No one understands why things cost what they do. No one understands how health insurance works. I get all of that frustration. But to then take that to violence is the type of thing that typically doesn't happen in the United States. Yes, it might happen from time to time with a truly deranged individual, and it's possible that this particular suspect was indeed mentally ill. There's some discussion here as to whether or not the medical procedures he had been through had driven him to sort of an insanity of sorts, albeit temporary. Who knows? But the fact that there are so many people willing to defend this violence really, I hope, is a wake-up call for both people on the left and the right, that the language we use does and can have consequences outside of the original intentions. And I hope we take advantage of this situation to maybe dial things back. I'll remain to see if that happens or not.
Yeah, so true. Well, Senator John Fetterman, someone we've spoken about and praised many times on this show, has made serious waves by becoming the first Democratic U.S. Senator to post on Donald Trump's platform, Truth Social. His first post reading, "My first truth, the Trump hush money and Hunter Biden cases were both BS and pardons are appropriate. Weaponizing the judiciary for blatant partisan gain diminishes the collective faith in our institutions and sows further division." Mick, what did you make of this post?
Fetterman is a fascinating study in American politics right now. He's one of those people who really is quite plain spoken, and what he just put in that truth, in that text, sort of speaks to what a lot of people think about what we just talked about. The hush money payments were BS. There's a lot of Democrats who agree with that. There's a lot of Democrats who voted for Donald Trump in the 2024 election because they thought he was being targeted by a weaponized and a politicized Department of Justice under the Biden administration. So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me you're talking about Fetterman. We talk about him a lot here because he doesn't seem to fall into those natural sort of columns of Democrat or Republican. Sometimes he sounds like a Democrat. Sometimes he sounds like a Republican. And honestly, I got to tell you, Caroline, it's refreshing in Washington, D.C. to just have people like that around.
Oh, look, it's refreshing in Australia, too, to have that because we hear too many people just taking their own side. So it is. But I think a lot of viewers won't agree with what he says about Hunter Biden's pardon. I mean, at one point, Joe Biden himself didn't agree that he was going to pardon him, but maybe they'll respect him for at least speaking his mind.
They do. And the Hunter Biden pardon is just, it's bizarre in many, many ways. Look, a lot of us expected Joe Biden to pardon his son anyway. I know Joe Biden a little bit, but I know Washington a lot. I never expected Joe Biden to allow his son to go to jail. And when he went on, TV here and said that he promised he would never do it, I didn't believe him. It raised a really good question, Caroline. Bill Clinton used to say it's not a lie if you believe it to be true. And there's a corollary to that, which is it really a lie if no one believes you? I think most of the Democrats were okay with the pardon. It was the reason for the pardon that's getting Joe Biden in trouble with his own party. If he'd come out and said, I'm pardoning my son because he's my son and I love him and I can't stand to see him go to jail, I think a lot of people would be okay with that. What he said, though, was he's pardoning his son because he was targeted by the Department of Justice. What does that mean? It means Joe Biden is admitting that the Department of Justice is politicized. That plays right into what Donald Trump was saying during the campaign, and which the Democrats have denied for several years now. So it's the reason for the pardon, the reason given by Joe Biden, that's creating all of that confusion. And again, it's fun to watch Fetterman sort of cut through all of the BS in Washington, D.C. and get down to what so many people are thinking quietly.
It sure is. Well, Mick Mulvaney, thanks for your time as always.
Thanks, Caroline.